Okay, and we are indeed live. Welcome everyone to yet another edition of the 4GwQPodcast podcast. This is episode number 203 for April 11th, 2019. I am one of your hosts here in front of 217. We have our other two normal participants of this podcast with us this fine afternoon. A little bit early this week, 5 p.m. Eastern, but if I can get out of work, then this is a good time, I think, for all of us, so we can get back to some gaming after discussing the week's news. So I already introduced myself, but making his 203rd straight appearance on this program, we've got ZBCI Assassin. What's going on, bud?
Hi.
Wow, I thought we were going to change that. I thought, you were feeling nostalgic, and then, I thought that was just for last week you were feeling nostalgic. What happened?
I meant to, create a new intro, but I can't think of anything interesting. So, hi just keeps on coming back.
All right, fair enough. We also have with us Italian Clowns. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's up?
Nothing much, dude. We got some topics this week to discuss. Kind of a slow week in news and gaming news, but we're going to make a podcast out of it, of course. Like we always try to do. This week we'll be talking about, we'll start the show off with a few of our impressions from Borderlands Game of the Year Edition now that we've actually played it a little bit. Last week we talked about it fresh off the release of it, but we hadn't actually gotten our feet too wet. But now we have, so we'll revisit that topic for a brief amount of time. We'll also discuss the Sea of Thieves update that just got detailed that is coming at the end of this month, April 30th to be exact. We're getting the multiplayer arena mode. We're also getting some single player, or not single player, but also co-op story mode content, which we've been talking about on the show for a long time that Sea of Thieves is needed. So we'll get into that and whether or not that's good enough to get back into Sea of Thieves for a lot of people. We'll also talk about April's Game Pass editions, some surprising ones for sure. We'll rate the month, and we will, discuss whether or not it's more appealing for people who haven't already subscribed to Games Pass. And if you haven't, in my opinion, that's probably silly. You probably should get on that right now. Some rumors about new Switch models that may make Assassin pretty sad, maybe not. We'll get his opinions on that. We'll talk specifically about the Switch Mini model that apparently is going to be maybe coming as soon as this summer, and whether or not we need that at this point in time. We'll talk about ZPCI Assassin changing his PSN name.
What? And
we'll, now that you can finally do that. And maybe we'll get into some of this BioWare hate yet again. Dragon Age, I guess, obviously, in Dragon Age 4 is in development, which we already know was teased last December, I believe it was. And some more news from Jason Schreier about how that process is going. So, all right, let's before we get started, the Inner Circle Network, we are an affiliate podcast. You're seeing the logo up on the screen right now. Check out their link in the description below for the Inner Circle Games Network. You can find a bunch of news articles and certainly some articles and some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today. So go hit that site up. There's other affiliate podcasts that are excellent. So go check those out. And it's just a good atmosphere for good gaming talk from actual gamers and not just, talking heads yelling back and forth. So stuff you probably would be interested in. So want to just put that out there. All right, let's get started. Assassin, Clowns. Borderlands Game of the Year Edition. Clowns, you guys convinced me to grab this, and I was kicking and screaming and eventually did, and I can't get enough of this thing. Geez. It actually is fun going back to Borderlands. It's been so long since I played the game. It's been like, what, 10 years almost 10 years since the game came out. I probably haven't touched it since probably 2010. And I gotta be honest, guys, I'm actually liking what I'm playing. What have you guys been thinking?
When the game doesn't glitch out on you, it's fun.
When the game doesn't glitch out and kick me out, right? So I don't get the achievements. A lot of people have been reporting some bugs for sure about, save games being locked up, people not being able to get into matches together. You're supposed to be able to like join in progress. That's not working for a lot of people. And for people like me, there's been connectivity issues where I'll just get booted from the game randomly. Even though my internet connection's fine, it'll just say I lost connection to the host, even though I'm in party chat with the host and I'm talking to them perfectly fine. So, yeah, there's been some issues with that, and I'm a little butthurt. Not too butthurt, but a little that I didn't get an achievement because of it, but still having some good fun. Clowns, I know you've been playing it a little bit more recently. I know initially you weren't really on it too much, but recently you've been playing a little more. What have you been thinking about it?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I definitely like it. Because I've never really played through the first one when it was on 360 and whatnot. So now's my chance to really play through it, enjoy the achievements I can get on Xbox. I love achievements. That's probably part of the reason why I went back to it. It's a fun game. It's just, I mean, it's Borderlands. What can you say? It's awesome. I just wish it did have a little bit more of 2's humor, but it was a starting point for them. So not upset at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely showing its age a bit, especially when you play, what I think is one of the best looter shooter RPG games of all time in Borderlands 2. And even Borderlands, the pre-sequel, obviously had a little bit more, humor to it, a little bit more advanced features. It came out a lot later, of course, but the fact that they added a lot of those Borderlands 2 and pre-sequel features back into Borderlands 1, like the inventory management and the mini-map, are very welcome additions when they work properly, especially the mini-map sometimes bugs out on you, but when they work properly, it definitely makes it feel like it's kind of like Borderlands 2, which I was afraid it wouldn't feel as good as that. But I do agree with you, Clowns. I mean, Borderlands, there's a lot still lost on the gamer from Borderlands 2. Like, if you've played Borderlands 2 and you're going back to this because maybe you're like Clowns and you haven't tried Borderlands 1 previously, I mean, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're missing, I would say, but at the same time, you won't even know that Borderlands 1 was so primitive because they added some good things back. And I don't know, it just feels refreshing to go back to it and start from the beginning. We haven't had that opportunity until now on console, at least. And the graphics are good. I think this just has a lot of good things to it. And I know, Assassin, you played it. I think didn't you say you played it on like PS3 prior to this, or?
It was either PS3 or the 360. I think it was 360.
And that was like, so if we're talking like 10 years ago, that was like one of the first games like this you'd ever played, actually, or even one of like the first like mature shooting games you probably played in general, because as everyone knows, you're much older, much younger rather. So like, does this stack up to what you remember? I mean, I know you don't remember a lot of the story, but I mean the gameplay experience, does it stack up, or?
Well, I don't remember like anything from when I first played it, but I mean, I remember it being slow, and it's definitely slow, especially in like the third DLC, the General Knox one. I don't remember there's that much driving in it.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing that we kind of haven't gotten into really, is that all the DLCs included. So take your playthrough of Borderlands 1 and you could potentially, like, depending on how long you really spend in Borderlands 1, the main story, you could probably like double that playthrough just by going through all the DLCs, especially like Assassin was just saying, the General Knox one. Lots of driving, lots of exploring. It's a big, vast world. Some of the DLCs are kind of smaller. The zombie one, it's pretty small, but, fun at the same time, a little bit different kind of feel with the enemy types. And, of course, the Moxie's Thunderdome is going to be a longer one. You'll probably pull your hair out because it's kind of like an arena, like almost like a horde mode kind of. But I'm really enjoying it, man. I'm really enjoying it. And I know you guys are probably like, I told you so, especially you Clowns, because I wasn't buying it and you were hitting me up in the DM saying, buy it, you want to buy it, you want to play it. I finally buy it, and of course, here I am like eating crow, because it is actually really, really fun to get back into it.
Yeah.
But would you, like, after playing it, you think $30 is a good price point for this? I mean, it does have all the DLC. It is like mid-range in terms of pricing for an older game, but it is in 4K. It is HDR for all intents and purposes. It feels like a newer game, but price-wise for the content, do you feel like it's worth it, even if you're not a Borderlands fan? You just want to maybe try to get into the franchise. This is a good starting point for you to jump in.
I mean, the price point is very good. $30 for a bunch of hours and loot and disconnects, I think, is a very good price.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty good. Clowns, what do you think? $30? Is this the right price, or should it have been cheaper? Clown's not here. Did he message us saying that he had to bounce for a little bit? Maybe.
I don't know.
Did he mute himself? I know Clowns was saying before the show that he may have to go help his wife here and there, do a couple of things, so maybe he's not there. But I think that this is a good price. After saying I wasn't going to grab it because it felt so old, they successfully made it feel new, I think. So for all those people that were on the fence, I think you should definitely go grab it. But there's definitely, I mean, I would say there's no less than like 25 hours of gameplay maybe in this. And that's if you're kind of like, running pretty quickly through it. If you want to do like all the side missions, I mean, there's like hundreds of side missions. There's, millions and millions of guns. It's, it's procedurally generated weaponry. There are some like specifically named weapons that you may find that are kind of like extremely rare versions that are established, but the other weapons are kind of procedurally generated, so you're not really going to find the same weapon twice. So there's that. So Shizno Elite says, never played Borderlands on the 360, so he's kind of like Clowns on that. So this remaster is worth it to me, but I can understand people not digging it. Yeah, I mean, dude, after playing Borderlands 2 so much, I thought I was burnt out on Borderlands, but with Borderlands 3 coming out, I feel like this is the perfect time for them to launch this. If they had launched this last year, I feel like it wouldn't be nearly as successful. So good on them for holding out on this, even though I guess it's been rumored slash how do I say this? Like entered into the ratings board or submitted for ratings for a while now. It's been a while since people kind of knew this was coming. You can find articles all the way back to late 2017 detailing ratings boards reviewing this game for ratings. So it's been a while, and I think it's a perfect time to launch this. So let me see what else. Crossbones is in the YouTube chat. What's up, man? It's been a while since I've seen you there. Says, what do you do in Borderlands? What's the story? So if you're being, I don't know if you're being serious, but maybe some people don't know the story. So what would you say, Assassin? I mean, I'll just like throw it out there, the general story, but if I miss anything, fill it in. It's generally like these people are just looking for loot, looking for treasure, riches, and you hunt for these keys to unlock a vault, this storied and legendary vault that all the parts of the vault key are kind of separated and held by different evil entities that want to take over the vault and kind of take over the world with that loot and power. Yeah, you just meet some characters along the way that kind of have their own sense of personality, make you do kind of chores for them, or send you on missions to kill certain people that have bounties on their heads so you can get more money, buy better guns so you can take down the bigger bosses that have parts of the vault key. And I think that's essentially the lather, rinse, repeat story of Borderlands. Did I miss anything in there, or?
No, you pretty much got everything.
I think that's it. But the allure of it, and I sent Assassin this. There's a video on YouTube that is a tech demo. I don't know if it was for GDC or if it was for E3 or what convention it was for or what meeting it was for. But if you look for it, there's a 2008 video of Borderlands before it became like this cel-shaded kind of look and before it was kind of like finalized, that talks about the game and the best points of it. And literally the biggest part of the game that they talked about was the fact that it had tons of loot in it and that no gun was the same, and that there were skill trees and upgradability, like RPG elements that that went above and beyond what you expected from a game of this genre before. So I think those are kind of the two things that if you get into Borderlands, those are the draws. Not necessarily the story. I mean, the story's good, the humor's good, but like Clowns kind of said, Borderlands 2 just takes it another notch up on both of those facts. So Borderlands 1, a lot of people knock for not having a good story, and I'm actually one of those people that does that as well. But I'm getting back into it.
I think I think Handsome Jack really made the story a lot more fun in part 2 because Handsome Jack was a lunatic, and it was just that sociopathic, psychopathic personality that made that Borderlands 2 stand out. So Borderlands 1 misses some of that kind of humor, but it does have some psychos in there, midgets and badasses. So it's still fun. Cross. If you've never played it, you may want to rent it first, just to see if it's your style of game. I think $30 is worth it, but again, me, Assassin, and Inferno have it, so we could always hop in with each other and whatnot and play with friends. Your friends might not all have Borderlands 1.
Yeah, it's a good point Collins makes because, this game is very much made for co-op, I feel. I think going through single player, you'll probably be bored, so if you want to play with any of us, definitely hit us up. Our Xbox handles are below our names here, and for people that are friends of us already on Xbox and that are in the chat or listening or whatever, hit us up because you can just make multiple characters, or you don't have to be max level to play with us or whatever. We can just make another character and go with it. They give you quite a few save slots. I don't know if it's an infinite, but they give you quite a few. So I'm for a game like this, like especially in Borderlands 2, I would definitely make as many characters as needed to stick with people. But there is that danger of if somebody is a very high level, it's really hard. It's not like the Division where you kind of get scaled up. You will kind of get lost a little bit if you're a lower level playing with higher level people. So be aware of that.
And you'll max rank like super fast too.
Oh yeah, like power leveling is a huge thing in Borderlands, man. Huge. If Clowns just happens to, I don't know, maybe drop you one of those nicey nice guns that he gets from legit sources, maybe that would help you out as well. But we'll see. Yeah, there's loot sharing too, so that's a cool element too that we didn't even get into. If you haven't played this before, it's definitely way more friendly than like Destiny or even the Division. The Division kind of caps you out on what you can share and stuff. This game, you can pretty much share and drop whatever you want across all slots and whatever level it may be, and so it's cool. It's cool. I would definitely recommend it.
Sass, I have one question for you. If Cross plays this game with you, will you play Tachanka in Rainbow Six Siege?
I'm not playing Siege.
Damn! It's worth a shot. All right, Inferno, carry on.
Oh, come on, Assassin.
No, I'm playing Siege.
Oh, man. Jeez, I thought we had him. There.
Well, you play Siege first, and then I'll think about it.
Dude, if that's what it takes, I'll do it. I don't really care. I'll play Siege for like a couple rounds, and that's it. I still haven't installed. Do you have it installed still?
Cannot confirm nor deny.
You deleted it. You deleted it.
Those words.
Sorry. That was funny.
Yeah, I don't know. You see, the thing is, I suck at Siege, and I get pissed off at it too easily. But you guys are actually like pretty decent at it, so it's a different experience for you guys. But and
like Cross said, Rainbow's Magic is in there. I know we didn't really talk about it, so I'll just go real quick. You're like toy soldiers. You fight things. It's made for Assassin. You'll have fun. There's unicorns, ponies, and clowns. Okay, carry on.
And why is that made for me?
Because they got nice music. And they got Mr. Bear. You got to save Mr. Bear. All right, carry on.
All right, let's move on. Let's get to the next topic. The bigger topic this week, probably the biggest topic of the week, actually kind of snuck up on us late in this cycle here. We got an anniversary update preview for Sea of Thieves, obviously, unless you're...
Boo!
Oh, here we go. Clowns is already hating.
Oh, yeah.
Clowns is already hating. But if you've been living under a rock, you probably, unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know what Sea of Thieves is. Game is 1 year old at this point in time, almost 1 year and 1 month actually. And Rare has been preparing the biggest update, of course, free, by the way, that they have ever released, and it includes the much awaited arena mode, which is kind of like the PvP mode. We'll get into that in a little bit. They talked about some details. Eurogamer had a nice article on what the arena mode exactly is, and of course Rare released some blog posts on their site, and as well as some videos on their YouTube channel detailing what the arena is a little bit more than what we knew. And of course the meat and potatoes, and the thing that I think is actually most important, is the addition of story mode elements. The name of the story mode is what again? Tall Tales Shores of Gold. So I guess it's going to be like episodic in nature. The first one's coming out at the end of this month. They're going to keep releasing updates that kind of feed off the story, kind of take divergent paths a little bit. And it's full with like cutscenes. There's going to be voice acting. There's going to be actual dialogue. There's going to be actual waypoints, and maybe not waypoints exactly, but like there's going to be actual steps to go through for the quests, and there's going to be actual like items that you have to take back to people that are like meaningful in some way. And one of the things that people have been knocking about this game, I should say, is that the game doesn't have any story content, that you have to make up your own story. Some people love that, some people hate it, but at the end of the day, they're now addressing some of the criticism about that, and they're adding in a story mode. So let's get into that first, and then we'll get into the arena, because we knew the arena was coming. This is kind of like more of a little bit of a surprise. So what do you guys think? Are you guys intrigued by the story mode? I mean, I'll let Clowns go first, because I know he's going to hate on it, but listen, if anything, these guys here were at one point Sea of Thieves diehards. I mean, Pirate Legends for sure. We're really into the game. We're into the preview program for it, whatever it was called. I can't remember it now at this point. The Insider, what was it called again, Assassin?
Insider program.
The Insider program, yeah. So these guys were in that. They were testing stuff out under NDA, played it before a lot of other people, and so I definitely want to get these guys' opinion on this first, because I know you guys have kind of grown frustrated with the game for a multitude of reasons, and now it seems like they're making good on it. And Clowns, go ahead. I know you want to hit on it.
There's still a lot of issues with this game, and it's why I haven't come back to it. Okay, first I'll tell you the good stuff. It's fun with friends, yes. The water still looks amazing. And yes, the world still seems like it has a lot of skeletons to kill. So I guess that's a plus or a negative, depending on how you want to spin that. But I think, from this story mode, from what I read, right now for me, it's not going to get me to go back into it. I think it sounds kind of boring, to be honest, because it's going to procedurally change. So you might have to go to one island halfway across the top of the map, to the bottom of the map, to the middle of the map, back to the top of the map. And then next time it might change. You might be on the left side, right side, bottom side, flip side, upside down.
That's the entire game, though.
And then it's
all
like,
the maps are procedurally generated.
I mean, what are we, Christopher Columbus? I mean, is that our plan, is to be like, okay, let's keep looking for the next part of the story, guys. 10 hours in. Oh, there's the volcano island. I found it. Oh no, that was last night when we played with, so and so. Today it's the Rainbow Island. I mean, come on. I think that's stupid. I think it should be the same. As far as the pattern you got to go, I don't think procedurally generating the puzzles is exciting to me. I think that's going to get kind of boring. And then on top of that, I mean, there's still people on PC that are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Mm-hmm. I know they tried to address it in the past, but I think, imagine okay, so you and Assassin are cruising along, playing story mode, clapping your drums, singing songs, drinking a couple beers, Assassin drinking his milk or Yoo-hoo, whatever he's drinking. You guys are just chilling, and all of a sudden, PC players come up. You're about to finish the story. Maybe you have an item you got to turn in. They sink your boat. They take your item. What, do you got to start all over again? How does that work? Is the item going to be tied to, your character when you pick it up, whatever story you got to do? What if they interrupt? What if they take it? These things bother me. And I think it kind of makes the idea a little bit, in a nice way to say, stupid. Mm-hmm. Unless they can guarantee other people can't steal it from you. If you can block out everybody else and just play a 3-man, 4-man, or 2-man, then that would be okay. I think that would be great. If you could block out other players, just play with your friends, kind of do a single-player co-op campaign style thing, that would be great. But if there's going to be interference, not so good. Not so good at all. Because people are going to troll hard on this.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that I'm like, I feel like this announcement is mostly positive because this is what people wanted. People wanted a story mode. People wanted to kind of be guided through this. People wanted, you know, pirate legend stories and NPCs that spoke, and, you know, everyone loves a good pirate story, right? So people wanted this thing. Oh, that good?
Inferno.
Yeah.
You know, people also wanted fishing, but I don't see Sega Rally fishing flying off the shelves.
Fishing is part of this update, coincidentally enough. Or not fishing, but fishing in terms of there's another merchant, I guess, that you can like sell fish and sell meats to and stuff, so you can harpoon fish and actually like cast a line and stuff like that. So, but no, that's true. I mean, you don't see that. It's a lot of people are all talk until it finally comes out and then they don't play the game. I mean, you see that all over the place, especially on social media. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, how should we feel, right? We got it at launch, $60 title, right? Really excited about it at launch. Became Pirate Legend. There's like nothing for us to do except kill the same old skeleton Willy Bones over and over again, whatever their names are. And then you get, Bones, I mean, you just get bored of it, you know what I mean? And you paid $60 for it. And then Microsoft's like, okay, you know, we kind of messed up the launch a little bit. We got everybody excited. People got upset. We're going to lower the price down to like 30. That happened for a little bit. And then they're like, it's in Game Pass. Great. So everybody's like getting either for free Game Pass or the reduced price. Those guys are going to have fun. But what about us guys that supported the game from launch? I mean, are we going to get like any special thing to stick on our ship? Maybe a Christmas ornament to hang in the sail during the holiday season? Something. I mean, I just feel kind of cheated, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with these games that come out and then, you know, they over time have to release updates and fix themselves. We've been seeing that all generation. It's like I feel like that's a very new thing for the past like 5 years, is that games come out, they're in bare bones, very shell states of themselves. Some would even say they're in beta states in and of themselves even when they release. I mean, heck, even like PUBG and Fortnite come out and say they're still in beta. But then, you know, time goes on and on and on and on. You can get these games for discounted prices. New people come in, they get rewarded. Like, look at PUBG, for example. Remember when PUBG came out on PlayStation and, you know, Xbox gamers had been testing the hell out of it. And then, of course, PlayStation people get exclusive stuff, you know?
Well, Inferno, you came up with a very good theory during this conversation. It's the fact that, and it's not just Sea of Thieves, it's this generation. I mean, they're procedurally adding stuff, campaigns to like other games, and it's going to keep happening probably as we go forward. It's just the way of the future for games as people download more and more. So I got a great idea. I'm going to go outside with empty lemonade jugs and sell them on the street and be like, in 6 months from now, I'll fill it up a quarter of the way. And then I'll continue going up a little bit at a time. Maybe 2 years from now, you might have a full jug. But you know what? Buy it today, $60, and I'll give you a pallet of empty jugs. Because in the future, I promise we're adding stuff.
Oh my god! And if you don't, you know, if you don't fill the jugs up, I guess it wasn't in the budget. Sorry guys,
Yep.
we really wanted to fulfill our vision, but it couldn't happen. And thank you for all those who stuck with us and bought our empty jugs and still, you know, made it possible for us to even think of making this a reality.
Yep.
That was good. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty good. Oh man, but I mean, for me, this is a step in the right direction, even though I'm kind of contradicting myself and making fun of it. Because does this make me necessarily want to go back to the game and have, like, you know, kid on Christmas morning fervor for it? Absolutely not. You know, I'm interested in checking out, seeing what it is, and that's you know, if my interest level for this game, for booting this game up before this update was announced, was like a 1, it's now probably like a 4.5 to a 5. It doesn't make it like a 11, you know, but at the same time, this is what everyone wanted, right? This is the next step. This is what everyone was complaining about, and you know, Clown's made a good point that I will also kind of echo, in that I want to kind of get through this and not necessarily be obstructed. Like if there's a campaign to get through, I want to be able to get through it without having to run for an hour from another galleon. You know what I mean? I understand that's part of the game. I understand that's pirate lore, pirate activities. It's be more pirate, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, maybe the arena mode will take away from people's desire to come after you in the adventure mode that they're calling it now adventure mode, the single player or the PvE, I guess. But Assassin, what do you think, man? I mean, is this piquing your interest? Do you think that it's gonna? Do you agree with me on that or not? That the arena mode is gonna maybe make the annoying running from galleons all day stuff go away, or what are your overall feelings on it?
I hope all the people who just constantly chase you over and over, I hope they go to arena and never come back. 'Cause I am just sick of seeing someone across the map and they're like, oh, we're just going to chase you. And like, we have nothing. I mean, all we're doing is wasting time. So it'll just sail away and they'll still chase us. And then sometimes, they're the PC guys and you get shot through like a bunch of wood by a bullet in the head and die. Thankfully, that crossplay, if I heard right, it's having those options to disable it after the update.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So once that is an option, I'll gladly go back to play the story mode.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is if it's going to keep me there, because I'm already Pirate Legend. I don't want to do 1,000,000 Athena's quests. So it depends on if they half-ass this update like they did in the past. I mean, the first one, they added a big-ass shark and like a mini quest, and some of the other ones they did pretty much the same thing.
Well, I think that this update is magnanimous in scale compared to those other ones. You know what I mean? There's just so many. I feel like they're adding so many things right at once that it's almost getting to where it should have been right at launch. It's not just adding story mode. It's we kind of alluded to it a little bit with the additions to the ships, like the spears that you can use and the damage levels. I guess now you can damage things like the masts, you can damage the steering wheel, you can damage the anchor all individually, so that you gotta have to repair all those parts so that you can't get away necessarily. So there's a lot being added, I feel, to make the game where it should have been, but at the same time, people like you that are kind of burnt out, is it gonna be enough? That's the thing.
And it probably won't be. I mean, you finish the campaign, you might do it again with some friends, but then you're probably doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, that's where the procedurally generated thing comes in. I know Clowns doesn't really like procedurally generated, and he's already voiced his opinion on that, and I agree with him a little bit. But the procedurally generated portion of it is the fact that it's supposed to be encouraging you to kind of go through it again with your friend. Obviously the end is the same. You start the story, there are certain landmarks the exact same, but then you get to points where the path is different, the puzzles are a little different. Say a puzzle in, I don't know, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, right? That puzzle, every playthrough you play, that puzzle is going to be solved the exact same way, right? But maybe it presents that same puzzle to you, but the parts of the puzzle you have to find, maybe you have to put certain things on a shelf or whatever. Maybe those are in different locations, so you don't just sprint to the same location. It's things like that may make it different. But in your opinion, Assassin, you don't think that's going to be enough of a difference?
Well, I mean, it'll be enough of a difference for the first few hours, right? But then just any quest that they throw at you in this game, they procedurally generate a map or whatever, and it's just going to be the same thing. It's just a different, grind.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, for example, Inferno, this is the way I picture it, right? So we go on Snake Island. So we're on Snake Island. Behind the golden torch on the left side of the waterfall. Okay, go there. Hit a couple times, glitch, finally get it, great. Then the next time you go to Snake Island, it's on the It's on the east side. No, it's on the south side under the golden torch beyond the waterfall. I mean, it's just going to change like that. And it gets old, like Assassin said, after a while. It's just like, oh my God, not again.
Well, let's just hope these puzzles aren't like riddles. I'm so sick of Sea of Thieves riddles. And half of them not like working.
Yeah.
So you're like an inch to the left because, an inch to the right was a little bit too far or you're in the same exact spot, but it just doesn't work. Or you dig a chest. We've had this time where we hit the chest, right? And then we can't dig it the rest of the way up because the game's registering as like we're hitting a tree.
It's gonna be riddles, man. It's definitely gonna be riddles.
Let's just hope not. Like, if it's riddles, I'm quitting so quick.
That's pirate lore, though, man. That's pirate lore, right?
Yeah, but then why add a story mode if you're just gonna add more, not merchant, like gold quests, right? Like, it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially what it is. I mean, the meta of the game, if you will, is just gold quests, is like getting more gold and getting more gold and getting more XP and getting more gold. So,
and then here's what happens when you do that, Inferno. You get on your ship, like Assassin 9 did, where we were about to become Pirate Legends one day, and I remember we got chased by a galleon for like 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, that could be true. But I think that's a perfect segue into the next part of this update, which may, I think, in my opinion, I'm not sure, but we'll see when it finally comes out and see how people's playstyles are. But the arena is finally going to be coming out, which is, of course, the PvP-centric mode. The matches are way longer than I thought they were going to be, 24-minute matches. And, I think... Me personally, we'll get into the details of the other stuff that the arena is for sure. But for me personally, I think that the arena is going to kind of take away some of that behavior in the adventure mode and bring it over to the arena. It's because I think a lot of people are going to want to, I think they'll feel better or more like rewarded about winning arena matches than like stealing a, captain's chest from somebody's ship. You know what I mean? Like if like for me personally, like if I'm in a PvP mode and I've won a 24-minute match of Sea of Thieves where I'm taking down ships and I'm stealing people's loot and killing people and stuff, I'm feeling way more rewarded about that than spending an hour chasing a sloop with a galleon, stealing like a couple pigs and a friggin' captain's chest, and that's it,
Well, that's if they have any, then.
Oh, that's true. That's true too. Yeah, that's true too.
You could just be stealing empty cages.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Yep. I mean, and then people will we've seen it where people have like pigs and chickens and stuff, and they'll just sabotage and just kill them and stuff. So, I mean, that's why I think that this arena mode is actually a pretty good thing. Now, the fact that they didn't get the crossplay, controversy settled before it came out, I think that was a bad move. But obviously they're having a little bit of an issue with that because it seems like something you just flip a switch on, but I don't want to sound ignorant, but I don't know. Anyway, so arena mode, right? 24-minute matches, you fight for silver, not gold. And everything you do kind of increases your score in your silver, right? So even if you run around and you don't get the chests, like even little stuff, such as hitting a chest while digging, that gets you silver. So like every step of the way along digging out the chest, that'll get you silver. Killing people gets you silver. Hitting people's boats with cannonballs gets you silver. Hitting people's, I already said killing people, but like stealing people's stuff off people's boats, even if you don't like eventually end up with it, that gets you silver. So it's kind of cool in that regard, everything you do kind of earns yourself points. So it's not just everyone trying to steal chests off each other's boats or people camping the drop off spot for the chests and stuff like that. There's definitely multiple strategies,
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Like, are you guys interested in trying it, or you're so sick of people like chasing after you that you're not even gonna be interested, or do you think it's a good outlet for people that are kind of the people that piss you off? What do you guys think?
I think it's nice that they added this thing. I won't be touching it because the worst part of Sea of Thieves is its combat.
Yep.
So I'm glad that they made a mode for people who like it, but I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like they wasted time on something that's the worst thing of the game.
True. Good point. I mean, that's the thing. I think people that are going to enjoy it are people that aren't necessarily like already burnt out on the single player. And Shizno Elite kind of alludes to that a little bit in the YouTube chat just now. He says, it just seems like we want to focus on everything wrong with it instead of enjoying yourself. If you're that done with it, why bother? I mean, that's the thing. Like, people who are burnt out on it are focusing on the negatives because it took them this long to kind of make a reclaim effort, you know? Like Assassin was saying, the updates seemed very small up until very recently. Like, the first few updates seemed like really, really small. And that's not including necessarily like the DLC, right? The quote unquote DLC with like, what was the one there? The one with like the lava and volcano areas and stuff like that. That one was kind of cool.
It was like the Devil's thing or something?
Yeah.
It was something like that, yeah. It was. I like that. Yeah, I thought that was kind of creative how they added it. I know Yeti and I got frustrated that there was constantly eruptions, though, but we liked it.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff's kind of cool, but like, other than that, a lot of the updates were just very simple things, and it's hard for people that, like Clown said, supported it from the beginning, played the hell out of it, got burnt out on it, to reverse their path and kind of get rid of that sour taste in their mouths, you know? But I agree with you, Shizno Elite. Like, I agree that if you're burnt out and, you know, it's not for you, then, you know, don't necessarily give it a try and then, you know, still hate it if you already know going in that it's not going to be for you. Like, that's what Assassin's saying. He's not going to touch the PvP mode because he knows it's not going to like change his mind, you know? It's not going to necessarily flip the script.
I will tell you this. I will probably go back to it just to get a couple explosive barrels and go on people's ships and wreck their anchors and wreck their steering wheels and then just sit on an island and watch.
Wow.
Because Assassin, Yeti, and I were some of the best when it came to combat, though. I mean, we were really good at it. It got frustrating when we got chased, but we were really good at it. I mean, we could sink like 4 galleons at a time. So, I mean, I have no doubt that I couldn't have fun like that.
Yeah, I think the new like individualized destruction mechanics for like the steering wheel and the masts and the anchor being able to be destroyed, I think that changes the combat up a little bit to make you more precise, and I think that that's gonna like make the battles a little more enjoyable and maybe even quicker, you know. And even with the harpoon, like you can harpoon people's boats and harpoon like stuff off of their boat too. I think it's going to be less of like a... Remember Evolve, the game Evolve, where you just had to chase down the monster?
I had fun with that game, though. I liked that game. I love that game.
Man.
I'll tell you what, though. You know, the rowboats, it's like game programming for beginners. The mechanics on those rowboats were so bad when they came out.
Yeah. Not a lot of people are using those. Like, I feel like, you know, I don't necessarily play the game so much anymore, but I watch streams of it because some people make streams really fun of that game. And I'm not saying like people like Summit necessarily, but there are a lot of other people that just stream that religiously that are, you know, good like positive streamers that I watch. And not a lot of people use the rowboats. They just like hop off or use like the sword dash thing to kind of move quickly. And you know, I feel like people are using those rowboats way less, but I think the spear people are going to use a lot. You know, it's cool that one of your crewmates can be running back from the shore with a chest and somebody in the boat can spear it. I think that's pretty cool.
I mean, the Yeti did have a good use of the rowboats. He filled it up explosive barrels one day and rolled up to a galleon and just blew himself up. The explosives. Down went the galleon.
That's great. That's good. All right, I think that's pretty much it with Sea of Thieves. You guys got anything else? I mean, the update comes out on the 30th. We're gonna get a few more previews. We got the one earlier for the arena. There's gonna be one on the 16th for the Hunter's Call, which is the new like cooking and fishing mechanic. And and the new vendor that you kind of sell that stuff to or whatever. And then on the 23rd, we're gonna have another preview video for the single player, the PvP thing, the Tall Tales Shores of Gold. I keep forgetting the name of that.
I would say the cooking thing sounds kind of cool. I definitely want to give that a try because I'm curious how many recipes you can make and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. And apparently the food that you cook, if you cook it just right, it gives you like regenerating health for a couple of minutes and stuff like that. So it like kind of forces you to watch whatever you're making. You can't just set it on fire and run away for a long period of time. If you cook it just right, you get like buffs from it. I think that's pretty interesting.
Maybe they'll continue to add stuff and add the ability to build stuff on islands, kind of like turn into Minecraft on the seas.
Right? I mean, I think that's the next logical step for sure. Oh, go ahead, Klaus.
I was gonna say if they did do that, that would be kind of fun, like building your own forts and stuff, and then defending them when people come by. That would be kind of cool.
Dude, that's definitely the next logical step. I think that's definitely on the horizon. I think being with Microsoft and, you know, obviously owning Mojang and owning the Minecraft IP and technologies and all that, they could definitely kind of work together and make that kind of interesting. But time will tell on that. Mine shite, UK Daz says. Oh, man. Don't say that too loudly to Assassin. It'll come for your throat. Right, Assassin?
Yep.
No, you're supposed to say no. We're on a live stream podcast. You can't threaten people.
Well, you asked me a question. I said, yep.
Oh, man. All right, next topic. Crossbones is in there begging for it. He's asked a million times. Let's get to it. April Game Pass games. And look at these guys. Look at these games. I mean, this is a good month for Game Pass, and this is just, for me, this is super encouraging. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, you know, how can you say it's encouraging? Like, it's going to make people not buy games right at the get-go if they can just get it with Game Pass, blah, blah, blah. But listen, man, I mean, Monster Hunter World, that game's what? Over a year old, right? I mean, Monster Hunter World came out, what, the end of 2017?
No, beginning. I think it's just a little over a year old.
What was it, January then?
January or February.
It was, yeah, Assassin's right, January, February. But, yeah, just that blew my mind that they got Monster Hunter World in there because that game is still very successful.
Oh, yeah.
It's still a huge title for a lot of people. It's like a cult classic at this point. So I think it was a huge grab for Microsoft to put that in Game Pass.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, chat or people here on the panel or whatever, I think Monster Hunter World is still getting some content too. So it's not like, and Prey is definitely still getting content. You know, so it's not like these are just dead games they're recycling and throwing off into a subscription service. These are good gets, man. These are good quality, you know, long-standing gets. I mean, Monster Hunter World, how long is the playtime in that game? Like, at least like 20, 30 hours, no?
Probably more.
Yeah, at least. So, anyway, Crossbones is joking about Assassin gonna play that golf game, dude. I'm not gonna lie, I'm downloading that golf game. I love me some golf games. I bought Rory McIlroy's PGA Tour, which came out a few years ago. I bought that game, paid the $60 for it. That was a good game, man. I love my like Tiger Woods golf games. I bought Everybody's Golf on PlayStation 4. I mean, I love golf games, man. I bought like the Mario golf games on every like Nintendo system he came out for, even the Game Boys and stuff. So I love a good golf game. I think golf, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, they just released a new one of these golf club games, but I think this version itself did pretty well on Metacritic, somewhere around like an 8. But I think you know, publications were giving this as close to like even close to like a 9. So I think this version is actually a really good one. Obviously, The Walking Dead. You know, if you're into those games, those Telltale games, you love the Walking Dead games. I didn't play this new Frontier one. Did you guys?
No.
Yeah. Life is Strange 2 Episode 2. I mean, Life is Strange 2, that's a recent game. That's not, you know, some old game just rehashed. Resident Evil 5, one of my favorite Resident Evil games. I mean, a lot of people give it hate, but I mean, for co-op, I think Resident Evil 5 is certainly the best. I mean, come at me, bro, if you want, but I had the most fun with Resident Evil 5 in co-op than I've had in any Resident Evil game. Even I mean, Resident Evil 4 was excellent, of course. Had that on the GameCube. I mean, no, not on the GameCube. Had that on PlayStation. Played through that. I had a couple of Resident Evils on the GameCube. I think I had like Code Veronica on the GameCube. But Resident Evil 5, a lot of fun on 360 with the co-op. But what do you think, Assassin? I mean, Clowns was pretty shocked about Monster Hunter World. Were you equally shocked or encouraged by this? What are your thoughts?
I mean, Monster Hunter is a good title. Prey, not so much. I hate that. I mean, their games like Dishonored and stuff. Prey feels like that, and Dishonored's trash. So, I mean, I'm not too happy about that game. I mean, other people getting a chance to play it is good, but other than that, I mean, I think it's an alright month. I don't think it's like.
Oh man, what Monster Hunter World?
I mean, Monster Hunter World is like the best out of all the games that they've shown. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the other games are definitely not my thing.
Resident Evil 5? You don't want to co-op
Never played it.
Oh, it's
Never
good.
Played it.
It's good. You'll be biting your tongue once you play that. Let's play that. Let's co-op that.
The only Resident Evil game I've played is 6.
Yuck. That's why you hate the series. That's why you don't like it. That's why you haven't played more games, because that's the worst one by far. I mean, once you play like Resident Evil 5, you play Resident Evil 2. Elite says he loves Prey. Owns it already though. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the problem with a lot of these games too, right? Especially these like top end or upper end AAAs like Monster Hunter World and Prey. A lot of people already bought that, but for me personally, I own Prey on PC. I'll play it a little bit of it again on Xbox. Monster Hunter World, I never bought that, but I'm interested now that it's on Games Pass. I'll play it. And like I said with Golf Club, like I'm downloading that for sure. I'll re-download Resident Evil 5. Crossbone says play Resident Evil 2 Remastered. That shit's great. Like that, exactly. Like I mean, any Resident Evil game other than 6 that would be added in this thing is a good ad. I think is a good, is a good addition to this program to make it worthwhile. Because a lot of people complain. They say, "Oh, the games are trash. The games are old. They're just trashy old games that no one wants to play." I mean, at least 3, if not 4, of these games, I think are games that people would definitely download and want to play. But what else? Any other thoughts on these games? Is this like, or is it? Do you guys think this is encouraging for the future of Game Pass?
I mean, I hope we see more titles, like big titles like this on Game Pass. But I mean, we'll see.
Clowns, what do you think, bud? Is he gone? Is he muted?
It might be.
He may be muted again. I always do this. I always call on him and he's muted. It's like the worst timing ever. But nonetheless, we'll continue on. If you guys in the chat want to give your opinions on Games Pass, please do leave a comment as well. If you're watching this later on, do you think this is the best Games Pass month? Do you think this is the worst? Where do you rank this in Games Pass months? And do you think this is encouraging for the service as a whole? Kind of going into E3, do you think this just encourages people to subscribe to the service, or do you think that it's just Mets and it's not really for you unless you get in on one of those sweet $1 for 3-month deals that I've been seeing floating around these days? That's kind of an insane deal, actually. 3 months for $1. I mean, that is a ridiculous deal. No matter what you think of these games, I mean, like we've said in the podcast before, this just gets you into so many other games that you probably wouldn't even play before, but you end up loving. So,
I think there was a deal the other day. Buy 3 months, you get another 3 months for free.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell? I mean, that's a really good deal. A lot of people will say, "Oh, that's bad for Microsoft. They're proving that it's not doing well. They're offering so many deals." But what it's doing is just, it's like deals on Netflix or deals on Spotify. You think Spotify's not doing well? You see deals on Spotify Premium all the time. What do you think? They're hurting?
They have a deal. You buy a premium, you get the Hulu for free, but with ads. Like,
Yeah. You think Hulu's? Yeah, Hulu's hurting, guys. Hulu's really hurting, guys. Let me tell you, they just got bought by Disney, but they're hurting. Yeah, Disney. Have you ever heard of that company? I mean, they're going downhill, right? Come on.
no.
I mean, it's ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous what people are saying about this thing, and it's obviously a good value add. If you don't have it, you should definitely look into it, especially if you get one of those targeted offers for 3 months for $1. That's definitely more than enough time to play some of these AAAs and see if it's a service for you. And that's what they're hoping. They're hoping these intro offers get you into the $10 a month, and it does so for a lot of people. So. Woody says he'll be taking up that 3 month for a £1 deal. That's for damn sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a great deal, and it's just so sweet. You know, a lot of people say, why not to a deal like that? You know, it's a pound, it's $1, whatever. But Delilah says, are you guys going to E3? I'm not sure if I'm going yet. These guys, I don't think are going. Assassin, you're definitely not going, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not going.
Assassin's not going. Clowns was talking about it. Clowns was flirting with the idea of going. But once we find that out, we'll make an announcement for sure. That's where I met Delilah actually at E3. A few years ago now. At this point, like 3 years ago, I think I met you at E3. I think. That's where I met a lot of the people actually on Twitter. In person. Was at E3, and then slowly but surely the people from out of town are making their way to PAX East, so they're finally seeing the value in that. Jizzle says, I can't believe anyone would pay for Games Pass. Well, I mean, not a lot of people do Microsoft Rewards, so but nonetheless, I mean, it is a good deal. You can't deny that it's a good deal for what you get. Let me see. There's some other stuff going on. Stick wants to know, is it $1 for people who've already subbed before? You have to be targeted for the offer, so I don't know. You may get it, you may not. I've seen some people get the $1 offer for 2 months, but not for 3, so I don't know. It depends on what they offer you on the dashboard or if you get a message on Xbox Live, but for what I know and what I've heard, it's kind of random, so you're just going to have to sign in and see and go to your, go to the Games Pass section on the dashboard or look around for a message from Xbox about it. But all right, anyway, let's move on here. Let's move on to a topic that may make Assassin a little salty, perhaps, but maybe not, because who knows what's coming down the pipe. But we've been getting a lot more rumors lately, and a lot more fire, a lot more smoke, I should say, a lot more smoke, because with the smoke, there's fire, right? We get a lot more smoke about a Switch Mini that's going to be coming out later this year, potentially this summer, as soon as this summer. It's going to be essentially not, confirmed, but essentially replacing the 3DS in the Switch lineup, or in the Nintendo lineup, I should say. And, the rumor has it that it's going to be a little bit cheaper, it's going to be a little bit smaller, it's going to be more portable, of course. The Joy-Cons aren't going to separate from the system, so in that regard, it's only portable, not necessarily docked. Who knows if you might be able to dock it, but, play it with a separate controller. I don't know about that. No, I don't think anyone really does, but nonetheless, it looks like Nintendo is finally seeing that the 3DS is kind of at end of life here. They'll probably support it for a little bit longer, but they're all in on the Switch, and I think until Nintendo's next move, they want to kind of promote the Switch as much as possible. But Assassin, I know you probably would not opt for a Switch Mini, but do you think it's a good idea at this point in time for Nintendo to do this? I mean, the Switch is only, like 3 years old, not even 2 years old. When did the Switch come out? 2016 or 17?
I want to say 17. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, March 3rd, 2017. So it's only really 2 years old, and we're already talking about an upgraded, potentially a Pro model of the Switch with an upgraded mobile chip and an upgraded screen. We've been hearing less about that, but more about a Switch Mini. So, which seems like the next logical step. But I mean, this soon, I think people are still buying 3DSs. So, does it? What do you think, Assassin? Is this the right move already at this point in time for Nintendo, or?
I think it could be a smart move. I mean, if the developers stop making like 3DS games and they started going Switch, we'll get more games. I mean, I'm down for more games. I don't know about you, but
mean, I think I was just muted, but my bad if I was. That's the thing. Like, are developers waiting for, like, developers that make 3DS games exclusively? Like, I don't know. I'm a fraud if I even say that I know a lot of 3DS exclusive games. But if I'm just thinking off the top of my head, you think of stuff like Nintendogs or like, like the traditional Pokemon games. Like, we haven't gotten a traditional Pokemon game. We're going to be getting one later this year. But, I mean, it took a while it took almost 2 years, 2.5 years, almost 3 years it's going to be until a traditional Pokemon game that we associate with portable systems comes to the Switch. So maybe there are devs out there that kind of aren't ready to make that move to the Switch, and having a Switch Mini is going to help them. And help the install base of a lot of these like indie games that are making their way onto Switch. But I mean, you never know. I mean, it's a thing where, like, are developers ready to move from the 3DS? Jizzle says in the chat, actually, let me see, he was just saying this, Switch Mini won't replace the 3DS because the 3DS has already been replaced by the 2DS. Okay, well, you're being technical there. But I mean, our people, our devs and our kids and our parents, and is everyone ready to make that jump and, to move over and get away from the traditional Nintendo handheld to like a, to a Switch, like a hybrid almost? I mean, the Switch Mini, I guess, wouldn't be a hybrid, but it would be compatible, I'm guessing, with the hybrid home and portable console. I guess Saltiest Gaming says, "What up, my fellow Switch bots?" Oh man, what's up, man? What's up? Oh man, I have my dude, this is Assassin's least favorite. Let me see. Maybe I shouldn't really be doing this, but I will. Let's just bring up my full screen right here. This is Assassin's least favorite setup right here. I know he can't really see it right now, but this makes Assassin cringe right here. It's the grip for the Joy-Cons, and he hates this grip controller. Assassin just got himself a Switch, and he absolutely hates that configuration right there. But have you actually played the Switch a lot portably, Assassin, with the Joy-Cons on the ends of the system? What do you think about that configuration?
So I played few games. I played Odyssey, I think, the longest on the portable mode. I mean, I don't really go many places, so I mean, I don't really need the Switch with me, so I usually keep it docked. But like, I recently got the puzzle game The Room, and I thought that game would be a lot better for dock mode. I don't have like a screen protector or anything, so I'm afraid to get like fingerprints and stuff all over it.
Oh, jeez, here we go. Here we go.
So I haven't really played with that, but I mean, it's kind of nice. Like I the other day when people were playing Siege, I was just playing Super Mario Bros.
Yep.
Yeah, the NES or whatever on there, and I was just having fun, and that's why I grabbed the Switch. Just have fun and kick your guys' ass in Mario Kart.
I wonder, as you were just saying that, I don't know why, but it just sparked a thought in my mind, I should say, not my memory, my mind. I hadn't thought about this prior to right now, but I was just thinking to myself, you were on Xbox, people went to go play Siege, you didn't want to play Siege, so you went to go play the Switch. And the Switch, obviously, the games are not quite up to the same, like, graphical and, gameplay intensity necessarily for a lot of, like, the AAAs or whatever. But like the 3DS, certainly those games can't even come close, right? And more so these days, kids are wanting to play like Fortnites of the world. They want to play like Apex. You know what I mean? Kids are really growing up with their interest in games, They want to play like some of that really intensive, like futuristic, next level, next gen, if you will, kind of games. I wonder if the 3DS is kind of slowing down a little bit because it can't produce on that level. And that's maybe why Nintendo's kind of seeing the writing on the wall with kids. They want to play more on like their iPads than the 3DS because the advanced iPads and like the iPhone 10s of the world, the Galaxy S10s, S9s, that kind of thing, those games can just play games at a much higher fidelity. Maybe that has something to do with why they're gonna phase the 3DS out and make a portable system that kind of can play Fortnite, can play, you know, a more, I say portable, but I mean like more portable or more like kid friendly, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know why your story there just sparked that in my head, but it did. All right, what do we got here? Oh, Clowns is back. Clowns, what do you think about this, man? Is the Switch Mini a good idea at this point in time? Not even 2 years, potentially only 2 years after the original Switch came out, they're gonna already kill off the 3DS. So it seems. Is he already not back again? Is he already gone again? He said in the chat. He was in the chat. He said he was. He said he was back. I call him this guy. He doesn't. He's not there. Shizno though, you got to talk to Assassin. By the way, I see you in the chat saying that you got that adapter for the Xbox One controller for the Switch. Hit up Assassin. Let him know what that is and what your experience is. Because Assassin, you've been looking for that adapter, no?
Yeah, Clowns showed me one. I found one. It was like $15, and I mean, I'm down to get one of those. But most of the time I play the Switch, I'm in like a party with you guys on Xbox. So, and I only have one working controller, so it's kind of hard to play it. But I mean, when you guys aren't around and stuff, then yeah, I'd definitely use one.
You're gonna have to use one to beat me in Mario Kart if you even have a dream of doing that.
You're so full of shit. I'll destroy you. And you'll cry. You'll use like a bunch of
I'll cry. Yeah, right.
And you'll have to call your mom.
Call my mom.
Just kick my butt in Mario Kart.
Not gonna happen, dude. You're gonna be calling your mom, dude. You're gonna be trying to get a different game, trying to beat me on a different game. You're gonna be like, oh, I need Mario Party now so I can beat Inferno. Oh, I need Smash Brothers when I beat you.
Yeah, but Mario Party doesn't have online.
Hello? So can you guys hear me?
Clowns has returned. Clowns has returned. We can.
Oh, thank God! I've been talking here for like 5 minutes about how awesome the Switch Mini is, because the 3DS is slowly phasing out, like you said, hardware-wise. Plus, you know, developers want to make better games, more input stuff. You know, everything be a lot better graphically, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the 3DS just can't keep up. So Switch Mini would be great to fill in that void, and it'll get more 3DS users over on the Switch side as well, especially with like Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, and everything. And those are fun games. It's not just kids. I mean, there's a lot of adults that play them too. I know Assassin does Animal Crossing a lot, right, Assassin?
Never played one.
See, there he goes. And then on top of that, man, you could take it everywhere. The Vita is not going to be reproduced, you know, and there's no Vita 2 coming in the short-term future. So if the Switch Mini came out, it's going to sell gangbusters for Nintendo. It's going to do huge. It's going to be a great thing. And I'm going to get version 1 because that's always the best version to have of anything before they patch stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun for me.
I was going to say, usually with like tech and stuff like that, people say wait because there's bugs, but I think Clowns has a little different motive in mind that we could probably understand from that statement, but we'll...
And Jizzle, you know, us Italians from New York and New Jersey, we don't say Mario. We say Mario.
Dude, it's true. I mean, literally every person I've met from New York that says Mario says it Mario. Everybody, like even people I meet at PAX and stuff. Even like we've had Pink Smurf on the show. Even Pink Smurf, if you ask her to say Mario, she says Mario. Even her, man. So
and my dad was straight off the boat from Italy, and he came over to America at 14, landed in Brooklyn, and he even said Mario his whole life. He'd be Mario, 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 Mario.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, dude, with this Switch thing, kids who had 3DSs, they're gonna like not have any new games, and they're gonna be like, "Mom, Dad, I need a Switch now. I need that Switch Mini," and then they're gonna double the sales of the Switch potentially, so that the kids can have it. Because I know a lot of parents who didn't want to get their kids a Switch because of how like it's not really fragile necessarily, but I mean some kids are really careless with stuff and would drop it, and I'm curious to see if the Switch Mini model is like a little less premium, so to speak, a lot more plastic, you know, see if that one is a little more drop proof. Maybe the screen is little shatterproof or scratch-proof. We'll see. All right, what is next? We got a couple more topics here to go. Next topic we'll get into really quick. I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I mean, BioWare is really sinking, right? BioWare is getting a lot of bad flack, and who knows if, they can crawl out from underneath this. Obviously, Andromeda, I think, was half and half. I think a lot of people like Mass Effect Andromeda. A lot of people didn't like it. Of course, there were a lot of people making fun of it because certainly lots of bugs, especially from the get-go, lots of deformities in the characters, and a lot of cutscene issues, or not cutscene, but dialogue issues. Sorry, there aren't really cutscenes necessarily in Andromeda too much, but because I think everything's in engine essentially. But with Dragon Age, I mean, we got the news, the leak, if you will, from in December about Dragon Age 4 is in development. I guess EA wasn't too happy with them dropping that bomb. But the news got out, Dragon Age 4 is in development. And, of course, Jason Schreier back at it again for Kotaku, talking about, what Dragon Age has gone through in its development. Because Inquisition at this point is like 5 years old almost. And that was the last Dragon Age game, and I guess they've been developing this one since then. And the early versions of Dragon Age 4, it seems, were single player, what we'd expect from a Dragon Age game, the traditional single player, deeply story-driven game that we've come to love and expect from Dragon Age. But of course, EA's come in, influenced a lot of what BioWare does with their games. And, a lot of people have kind of, even internally at BioWare, have said that, EA wanted Dragon Age to be essentially Anthem with dragons. Like, they want a monetization structure. They want a game with, not games as a service necessarily. I don't think that's the right word, but like a game that's constantly having added features and multiplayer focus and cosmetics and stuff like that. So, I think you guys checked out the article that about the development of Dragon Age. Were you guys surprised by what you saw, or do you guys have any thoughts on that? And like BioWare, is it a sinking ship, or is this kind of like more of a confirmation that BioWare is really sinking, or do you guys think they can crawl out from under it? What do you guys think?
I want to say I'm surprised, but with the way EA is just being these past few months, last years, like they're just want to ruin everything. It's just sad.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree. It's kind of like greed, It's like what happened. I understand that, single player stuff doesn't necessarily sell too well past the original release of the game. I mean, look at stuff like God of War, look at Spider-Man. Those games did really well out the gate, and now, the sales numbers on those aren't fantastic. Look at like Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, that did pretty well out the gate. I mean, can't sneeze at, almost 10 million sales, but 10 million units, I should say. But, people aren't going out there unless they're new to the system. They aren't necessarily going out there and actively searching Spider-Man, or they're not actively searching Horizon Zero Dawn, or, single player experiences they're primarily, done with in terms of development, or done with in terms of stuff being added and freshness, if you will. So EA kind of wanted to copy the evolving game strategy that's been popularized this generation, and they wanted to make sure that BioWare was on the same page, and I don't think BioWare is. If it were up to BioWare, they just keep going with the same old BioWare magic, if you will, which has been mentioned in the past couple articles from Jason Schreier. And I don't know, man. I don't know if they can dig themselves out from under this, because I think EA's just got a stranglehold on them, and unless they were able to free themselves from EA in some way, I don't think they're going to get out from under it.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's sad because, BioWare games, Mass Effect 3 is my favorite BioWare game. I love that game. Love the combat in that game. Didn't necessarily play like the multiplayer stuff too much, but I thought the combat in the single player which is essentially the same as the combat in the multiplayer, but I thought the combat felt really good. I thought that took the evolution to the next thing. I was excited for Andromeda because, you know, I wasn't excited to play a game of that scope again because I wasn't really into like dumping tons of hours into a game at that point in this generation, but you know, it seemed like BioWare could be the one to kind of lead this generation in terms of graphics and mechanics and textures, and they've just always had great looking games, and I felt like this generation could just take them to the next level in that, and they just produce the same old good stuff. But EA has really been running the show over there, and it's proven itself in these articles that even people at BioWare are just getting out in droves because they just can't handle the pressure that is being put on them to shape a game in a way that they have no intention of making it, you know?
You know, everybody at BioWare should all just get up and walk out and form a union. And then EA will either have to hire them back as a union or then just hire new devs and start from scratch. So if I was them, that's what I would do. Because it seems like EA is ruining everything, putting too much pressure on people. It's all about marketing. It's all about the money in the end. They don't care about the people. It just seems that way, that there's so much pressure on these devs lately. And it's just, I don't think it's fair at all because they create something so exciting, so much fun for us to play. And they do make money for the companies in the end. It's just, I don't know. From what I hear, I just don't think it's right.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's what people at this point in time, this generation has kind of exposed a lot of these companies, and the push to online gaming, the push to the ease of obtaining online updates and online content and updates for games that either cost money or don't, or you know, or e-commerce, you know, in games themselves, like the interactivity of you know, for instance, with Fortnite in Epic, right? They've developed a way to, I don't want to say developed, but they've popularized a way to have like the microtransactions interact with the transactions with the actual company. So even though the game, you know, is cross-platform, cross-buy with all the stuff, it goes to each separate vendor. You know, they've gotten that to work very well. And with the success that free-to-play games have had that have microtransactions, I mean, it's just natural that people want to jump on. But there's just some games that just doesn't work for, you know? There's just games. Nope. It's just not right, you know? Just let those exist. EA has so much in its portfolio, you know? Battlefront, I guess, isn't doing too well anymore, but they had potential Battlefront. They had Battlefield, you know, arguably Battlefield series, arguably the best shooter of all time. And they can't just be satisfied with making those games have microtransactions. They can't just be satisfied with making those games earn them money on the side or continually earn money on the side, or like Apex, you know, these companies, they can't just be satisfied with that. They have to make it for all their games. And I feel like, why can't they just have one studio like BioWare, like Sony has proven with Naughty Dog? Like, obviously Naughty Dog has a few microtransactions these days in the multiplayer sector, but not a lot of people play that and they're okay with that. They still produce good single player content. Why can't they just be content? I just don't understand.
Because it's potential money that they can lose. I mean,
yeah, but what do you view? Like, do you view the glass half empty or the glass half full? You know what I mean? At least you're partially full in the cup. Look how many companies are folding. You know, look at THQ is in so much trouble. Look at some of these big studios and games just being thrust out from under. Look at Telltale Games. Like, Telltale was on top of the world, and they somehow, you know, couldn't continue to exist, whether it had to do with sales or whether it had to do with, you know, internal strife between people amongst the organization or whatever. At least EA still exists, and at least there's still a power. Why can't you just be happy with that? I know investors are pushing the issue, but at the same time, you know, why can't you kind of persuade investors that you need both sides to fill out your portfolio? Why does everything need to be like a microtransaction? It's freaking crazy. But
they're just so out of touch in the gaming scene that it's disgusting.
Like Assassin's Creed, for example. Okay, so Assassin's Creed has had a resurgence, right? With Odyssey, with Origins, like it's had a resurgence, and now, the rumor is the next one's gonna have a Viking setting, and people are loving that, and everyone's all about Assassin's Creed again, right? And they're releasing the remasters of 3, and that's selling decently well out of the gate, and people are excited for all this stuff, right? And Assassin's Creed was at a really, really low point, but you don't see Assassin's Creed with like a huge focus on microtransactions. You still see, Odyssey with tens of hours of gameplay of single player that you don't have to buy any microtransactions. I mean, they're there, but it's not like the focus. Whereas with BioWare, I feel like EA is pushing these BioWare games to have a huge focus on microtransactions, or have a huge focus on games as a service, or have a huge influence on how the game is structured, where they should just let the people who make the games actually make the games,
Nope.
But it's crazy. And this info about Dragon Age is just sad, because Dragon Age is, I could see Dragon Age going the way of like Fable, for instance. It's kind of like I held those in the same kind of esteem at one point. Now, it's not just EA. That's a good point to kind of bring up. It's not just EA. I mean, Microsoft's guilty of this too. Other publishers are guilty of this as well. Activision, Blizzard. I mean, a lot of these companies are guilty of it, and they just need to take their hand out of the cookie jar just a little bit and let their portfolio be diverse, instead of trying to make everything be a constant monetization stream. I mean, EA can deal with selling 10 million copies of Dragon Age, 15 million copies of Dragon Age, and then letting it stop. It doesn't need to be something that constantly sells. And I think investors are just getting really greedy because they're dictating the pace. But all right, really quick, one last topic, and then we're out of here. And it's not really a long one. That's what she said. It's sad, and I thought you were gonna laugh at that. I guess not. But this is actually Assassin's favorite topic, because it has to do with the fact that you can finally change your PlayStation Online ID. Everyone can now do it. So it was in quote-unquote beta. Can you believe they had to beta test something like this? Like being able to change your name on an online system? I mean, how trivial does that seem that they had to beta test it? And even still, they don't have all the kinks out. And I'm not sure... to me,
I want to get the name Mario.
Get Mario. Get that name. I'm not sure how easy this is to read right now for everyone. On my screen, it looks like you can kind of read it, but I'm gonna bump it up to full screen so I can read it the best. But anyway, this is a little excerpt that, shout out to J Street, one of our boys here, one of our longtime supporters of the podcast. Who unfortunately, due to our new time, can't necessarily catch it live, but used to be in every single chat because of our former time that we had. But anyway, he posted this picture, and I wanted to bring it up on the podcast because it's from the FAQ of this changing of the online ID. And I mean... Dude, can you believe that there's problems that you could potentially... There are certain games where you could potentially lose your save game progress just because you're changing your ID? Like, come on. Like, they haven't even tested it with all the games either. Sony didn't test it with all the games. They're like, oh, you may run into a problem, so beware. They have a list of critical issue games. They have a list of games with some issues that you may be able to alleviate if you like restart the game, if you sign out and sign back in. But there's a list of some games where like you're gonna lose trophies, you're gonna lose game saves. I mean, it's just ridiculous, right? Or am I making a big deal out of this?
I mean, it is pretty ridiculous. Microsoft had this thing for many, 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 many years, and now Sony finally adds it, and they just half-ass that whole thing. Like, why have it at all? At this point, like someone would rather probably have their gamer tag big X, little X, YOLO swag 420, little X, big X than lose like the progress and trophies. Like,
isn't that pathetic?
The risk outweighs the reward.
Isn't that pathetic? That's a good point that I didn't even think of until you just said that. Is that some people would actually rather lose save game progress and trophy status. You know, like if you had a platinum trophy in a game, some people would rather lose high level trophies and get a gamer tag, like a stupid gamer tag like that, than actually maintain their save game and maintain their evidence that they like beat a game. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I was disappointed to find out with this is that unlike Xbox, who releases like vacant names after so many years, the vacant names on PlayStation are not released, so you still can't get your old PSN ID back if it was like banned or blacklisted like 8 years ago or whatever. So yeah, so it's still in limbo, and I think that's kind of a bad practice for Sony. Hopefully in the future they'll start releasing some names.
Do you keep your old name? Like, so like games that don't support it, obviously, like if I change my name and I played, like, let's just say Mortal Kombat X, right? And it's not supported, and it still says ZPCI Assassin. Could there be another ZPCI Assassin? Or do I still own that name?
No, you still own that name. Like, they don't release it. You can always roll back to it at any time.
Yeah,
but there's no guarantee that you'll get your saves back or trophies back if you do.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, like there some of the games on the on like the critical list, right? Even some, I guess, on the list of games with just like borderline issues, right? Some of them, like, you actually will show up as your old name, and I know you were kind of like alluding to that a little bit, but even like people that come in with a brand new name, like some of the people's names just won't show up. Like, say like somebody signs up for a new account, right? And they pick a name and they register on PSN. I guess some people have been saying online that, like, for instance, say you play Absolver, right? Like, say you change your name. So you go in and you're ZPCI Assassin right now, and say you change your game to that YOLO Swag 420, right? And you fight against, let's say Injustice, right? And you change your name, and then you fight against somebody with a new account. Like, their name just won't show up because your name will revert to the old one, but their name will try to revert to the old one, but they won't have an old one, so their name won't show up. So, I mean, how stupid is it?
That's pathetic. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And this list of games with critical issues, and granted, there may be more than these, right? There's like, I don't know, like 10 games here on this list that they've identified, but there may be other ones because they didn't test them all. Like Disc Jam, Everybody's Golf, right? Everybody's Golf. A lot of people play that. I play that, so I'm definitely not changing my name now. I was thinking about it. There's no chance. No chance of me changing it now.
That did the same thing to me. I was like, oh yeah. I saw that and I was like, nope. I have some trophies on there I enjoy.
Yep. And I have like hours upon hours of gameplay in that if I lose that, I'd be freaking pissed. Worms Battlegrounds, like, if you do that, you could possibly have data loss on that. Some of the MLB games, like every MLB game, essentially. MLB The Show 14 through 17.
I'm surprised on those because they're Sony games. They're not
right.
You know, some Joe Schmo from Idaho's game.
Yep. Oh, Assassin, you definitely don't want to do this because you would lose your progress on Just Dance 2017.
Oh, darn.
Yep. And shout out to Lauren Albion girl. You lose your progress on Little Big Planet. So. Yep. So, I mean, there's a lot of games where this is happening, and literally, unless your game is on the approved games list, you're just like, you know, risking it big time. So, I mean, it doesn't, like you said, Assassin, the benefit doesn't outweigh the risk.
The only good thing that came from this is the memes. The memes are pretty good.
Yes, the memes are good. Everyone's shitting on PlayStation for this. I mean, their online and their network infrastructure is just so far behind Microsoft's and everyone else for that matter, except Nintendo. It's absurd. It really is. I mean, when the PS5 comes out and they potentially, you know, I know it's going to be backwards compatible. I mean, I don't know that, but that's the overarching rumor, and, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. You know, once that comes out, if they can somehow like use some of their money to update that online system, they probably should. Because I mean, no one that I talk to in community circles says, "Wow, I'm really impressed with PlayStation Network." Like, no one says that.
Yeah.
So, but there's probably on this games with minor issues. There's like probably like 50 games or so, and one of them is like Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, could you pick a more popular game to have be an issue? NBA 2K19. I mean, that's constantly in the top 10 MPD sales. Uncharted 4. Like, there's a lot of big games. It's not just like, you know, Thomas Was Alone or like Soda Drinker Pro. It's like real legit like games that people play. Dark Souls 3.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Injustice 2. What else? Titanfall 2. Not a lot of people play that, I guess, anymore. Last of Us Remastered. You know, they're big games. Warframe.
Yeah, but who plays the multiplayer in Last of Us? Let's be honest here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, I guess. Z Black Rider says, I want Dazzy's old PSN tag. UK, so Daz says his tag would be UK PlayStationers. Okay. Wow. Chief Tommy says it's not the best start, but at least they're trying. I mean, I guess. I guess if your games, if everything you play is on the compatible list, then I guess who cares, right? But I don't know. I'm not gonna change just because of everybody's golf. There's no chance of me changing my name. I will be Ferdy217 forever. But anyway, anything else, gentlemen, about this, or are we donezo and ready to play some games? Games. Like Daz says on his podcast and on Retro Renegades, beer, right? We're going to say games. Anyway, all right, that is the end of our podcast then. Episode 203 is a wrap. Thank you guys for coming by. Chat was very strong tonight. Lots of good comments. Appreciate you guys for dropping by. Definitely, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe if you liked the show. We do this every week, obviously. And Clowns has another podcast he's been doing, but hasn't been an episode in a while. What's going on with that, Clowns? Are we going to get another episode pretty soon?
Yeah, we're supposed to do it tomorrow. I talked to Maverick, a.k.a. Cody. He said he's available tomorrow. We just got to hash out a time and get one done.
All right.
We're now up to like maybe 120 comics to review. So yeah, it should be a really eventful, review-full show. Plus Avengers Endgame's coming up, and there's always talk about that. And then Saturday, you can find me on the Tick podcast as well.
Perfect.
Or lurking in ZPCI Assassin's affiliate Twitch streams also.
There you go. Assassin, I was gonna ask you what was going on in your life right now and what you were up to this upcoming week, but Clown's already shouted out your channel. You want to add some more details to that, or?
Yeah, I stream a lot on Twitch. Probably tomorrow I'll go back to raging at Sekiro for like another few hours, and then go off stream and rage some more. But that's the plan.
Perfect. We'll see you then. I know I always, on my second monitor, I've got Assassin stream up, and today it was very, very rage filled. It was.
Oh my god!
It was almost to the point of tears at some point, I think. But it was very rage filled, and I was trying to type to him some suggestions on how to take down those bosses. But man, that game looks like it's so hard. But
it's just the last boss. It's just so stupid.
Yeah. As for me, nothing really too crazy going on next week. I want to try to stream a little bit more. I've got this Elgato green screen that I want to start using on a regular basis. So if I do end up streaming, I'll tweet it out, and it'll probably just be on the 4Guys channels. So Search 4Guys Recorders. You'll find us absolutely everywhere, including YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Twitch, Mixer,
iHeartRadio. Listen to us on iHeartRadio. So
Oh.
next year you can vote for us as the best podcast. So we can go to what's that place in New York City?
Trump Tower?
No, but you could probably get a
kidding.
room there. We'll be so famous. Maybe I think it's Radio Town Music Hall, something like that. It's been a while since I've been there. But yeah, vote for us.
Nice. Yeah, so go do that. Leave us a review on some of these things. Like if you go on iTunes and you see us, even if you listen to us on YouTube exclusively or watch us on YouTube, go leave us a review because that helps us with exposure and stuff like that. And other than that, we will be back next week with some more riveting content, I'm sure, and hopefully some sort of guest at some point. But until then, we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Adios, amigos.